Thank you. I'll have a moment of silence and proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance. I will move that we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion? I do have a point of order or interest. We did publish in the Tribune of the public hearing for the budget. That is going to be July 15th meeting, and we will repost that for that change. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. 5.0 is our request to speak to the governing board. We value input from our constituents. This is a time has been set aside for anyone from the audience who wishes to address the board. If you'd like to address the board, Ms. Walker over here has some forms. Please remember this is not an appropriate venue to evaluate, discuss, or criticize district personnel. Policy KEB provides a process for complaints about personnel. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, respond to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration, decision at a later date. We'll go ahead and call Teresa Tanner White.
Evening.
Hello.
Nice to meet you, finally. I would like to discuss the early education kindergarten testing and practices. Recently, my son took the test. However, with going over that, and it's my first time having a child in kindergarten, I would just say it was very daunting, and I've had a lot of problems since he took the test and how the test was administered, and I just have a lot of questions. And when I asked the personnel, I didn't get any answers, and the answers that I did receive seemed kind of not ethical on how the practice is and how they test kindergartners, 4-year-olds, or whatever else, regarding with his testing and what they require. I'm just not understanding on how that works, and furthermore about my son and why he's not being admitted into kindergarten in the Higley School District when he has tested into other school districts. We just found out that we just didn't live in that district. So the practices I would really like someone to look into, and also how they score, test, and how the parent can sit down and talk with whomever does the testing on how it is fair and how they score. It's just, I know school starts the 27th of July, and it's very imperative that, you know, we get this handled because it's time. It's almost time for him to start school. I don't agree with the testing. I don't agree with the answer I was given that you signed a document so you can't fight what we say. It's just very weird to me how you can pass a test someplace else versus not pass the same test in a different school district and actually spend more money on the test than any other district that I tested him in. I just really need someone to look into this because I'm not the only parent who had talked to the superintendents about this. They let that be known. So I'm kind of wondering, with the practices and the money being given to the school district, what is the percentages of the kids that actually are allowed into kindergarten that are 4 and above that actually score properly on the test? My son is 4. He scored 86 out of 100 on a kindergarten test, and they said that he was not socially ready for kindergarten, and he's been in pre-K for the past year. So I'm just really upset about it, and I just need some answers. And like I said, time is of the essence. School starts in a few days, so I really would like this taken care of. And again, Jake, thank you for responding to my email, because otherwise I would have no other recourse on whom to talk to about this. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here, and we will definitely will direct that matter to staff, and we'll be updated on that. Thank you. Now, forgive me, Kelly Ciadella? Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Kelly Ciadella. I was just, I've been concerned since we got a letter in the mail regarding the 2-mile radius busing situation. I know at the last meeting nothing was mentioned about it. I'm just hoping that there's been some talk, and just because school's starting up, and I just have a concern. I know it's a radius, and I understand that because of budget cuts, but where we are, it's actually like 2.6. And my kids, we live in Cooley Station, in between Ray and Warner off of Wrecker. Well, all those children, and they're high schoolers, they can't walk through people's houses to get there. There's some spots where they're building new KB homes on the corner there. The irrigation is there. There's no sidewalks. Plus, when they get out at 2:15, in the winter it might be okay, but when you're carrying a 30 or 40-pound backpack and it's 115 out, I don't know. It just makes me really nervous and very concerned for them. So I don't know what the board has discussed or the district, but I'm just hoping that they take that into consideration. I mean, I'm from New York, and we walked far, believe me, and parents saying, oh, when I was older, I walked this up a hill, but it's Arizona, and it's...
You walked in the snow, right?
I did. Blizzard. But it's hot, and I don't know. Safety concerns, if I go to work, I don't want to be worrying about, oh my gosh, did they get home okay, or did they get to school okay? And even in the winter, it's going to be dark when they walk to school. When I drop my, a couple times when I'm able to drop my high schooler off, it's 10 after 7. The sun's just coming up. So if they're walking, it's going to be a little nerve-wracking for parents. So if you could just take it into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for addressing the board. It is on tonight's board agenda. So Dr. Thomason, if we want to address something so she doesn't have to stay, or just want to inform her of what's on tonight's agenda?
Absolutely. President Whitener, members of the board, cabinet, community, on tonight's board agenda, we are asking the board to reinstate the busing schedule and the busing routes that were in implementation last year. We did see the need to take a look at the information we had and reverse our opinion on the 2-mile radius for high schools. We didn't have all of the information that we needed at the time, and Dr. Fowler has worked diligently on that aspect, and will actually be bringing us good news on how we can pay for that busing situation too. So all routes for the high schools will be re-implemented should the board approve the board agenda item tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Six Superintendent's Report. We have awards, recognitions, presentations. Sometimes the summer is a little bit slow in that area. Dr. Thomason, you have some upcoming events.
Absolutely, President Whitener, members of the board, cabinet community. We have a board meeting coming up on July 15th, and a reminder to the public that Fridays in June, the district office will be closed, and we're working 4 10-hour days, Monday through Thursday. And shortly after the board meeting and work study on July 15th, school will start on July 27th. So we are just over a month away from the new school year starting.
Thank you. At this time, the board, in essence, would kind of like to do their own little points of pride. We never get to do that. So, Dr. Birdwell, will you join us at the podium, please? The governing board, is this on? Doesn't always get to, we get to shake hands and do the pictures, and you're always doing that with us. But we get to do it for you now and recognize you. We know you've had a few of these recognitions, and you're probably kind of just done with them. But I did want to bring to the forefront that this could quite possibly be the last time you are in this room as a superintendent. As a superintendent. Dr. Birdwell, this is your last official board meeting, your last interactions with the Higley Governing Board, your last time in the Governing Board room as superintendent. In this room, within these walls, has come some of the worst news, such as budget cuts, litigation, disagreements, public outcry, criticism, boundary issues, student safety, and deaths. In this room, within these walls, have come some of the best news. Student achievements, teacher and staff appreciation, new hire announcements, new school announcements, awards, recognitions, art, music, athletic, academic recognitions, appreciations, and of course gratitude. This will be the last time at this microphone within these walls in this room. I didn't want to focus on the last times within this room, but I wanted to share some of the firsts that you had in this room. First, all district-wide fingerprint requirements, volunteer tiers. First AP classes, first self-contained gifted program, first business partner meetings, first 8th grade high school math credit approvals, first A-ranked school, first AYP adequate yearly progress from the Department of Ed, first NCAA accreditation, first district warehouse, first IT building, first Veterans Day celebration, first Teacher of the Year recognition, first A+ School of Excellence, Higley High, followed by Cortina and Centennial. First middle schools, first iPads, first Arizona finalist Teacher of the Year, first all schools to be A-rated, first solar panels, first cell towers, first elementary school to be ranked #1 in Arizona, the first Tribune Choice Awards for Best Place to Work, the first leadership team in board training and board retreats, first It's a New Day, first 100 bikes for 100 students, first Make a Difference Day, first Mandarin program, first comprehensive preschools, first turf field, first national merit finalists, first school built with bonds, first public-private partnerships, first Higley Achievement Foundation, first to support ACT testing for all 10th graders, first Superintendent of the Year for Arizona, first Tribune Choice Awards for Best School District in Gilbert, and first Large District in Arizona. And we know there are more. There are more. There's only one word to share with you, and that's gratitude. Thank you for sharing all these firsts with us. Our teachers, staff, administration, parents, business community, and most importantly, the students. Because of these firsts, we are Higley Strong. You have built and left us a strong foundation in where we can accomplish many more new firsts. All it is and all it takes is that first step, that first leap of faith, that first courageous act to set things in forward motion to accomplishing what we could have only dreamed of. Dreams are just ideas until you take that first step to make them happen. Martin Luther King Jr. said, faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. Dr. Birdwell, many people throughout the years have had faith in your first steps. Thank you for climbing our staircase. Difficult and grueling at times, but thank you for always taking that first step. So we have taken her brilliant idea, and the board has engraven the clock due for your time and service. So we appreciate you. And I'd like to invite if there's any other board members or past board members who'd like to share anything I am allowing you to use our board comments to do so. Thank you.
This ladies first. Thanks a lot, Greg. I had the privilege and honor of working with you for the whole time that you were here, I think, except for the last 6 months. But I just was amazed at how much we had to do when we first started. And you've been a great leader. And it took a great amount of intelligence and love for kids and ability to really focus. And you marched through, cleaned up all the messes. But even more than that, you created a vision here and a synergy that continues even today. And like Vanessa said, it's like a really great foundation for Higley. So congratulations on your retirement. And you are leaving the proverbial huge shoes to fill. So that's up to you. I'm sure you'll do an excellent job. But thank you for your service and for your heart.
Like Vanessa said, there's a lot of firsts. Kim said there's a lot of accomplishments. You don't go from where we were when Dr. Birdwell came to the #1 district, large district in the state without a lot of effort, a lot of talent, building a lot of teams. I had the pleasure and honor and sometimes very humbling experience to work with Dr. Birdwell. I thought I was prepared for some of the meetings and some of the planning we were doing, and I think, okay, I've got this, and if this happens, we'll go here. If this happens, we'll go here, thinking I'm planning 2 and 3 steps ahead. She was always 3 or 4 steps farther down the line than I was. I don't think there's ever anything that she was surprised at. We'd get some unusual news or unexpected news. Dr. Birdwell would always say, well, if we do this, this, and this, I've been working on this plan, or this is our contingency over here. So I was always amazed at not only the passion for the kids and passion for the staff, but the vision. Not just looking down the road, but how wide you saw. Not much got by you, and not much surprised you. So that is just amazing. I've learned a lot, like I said, and no matter what this issue was, no matter how many different opinions we had, and sometimes not always agreeing on them, Dr. Birdwell would always make sure we brought it back to what's in the best interest of the kids. And she reignited in me a passion for working for kids that I had kind of stuffed aside, and now, it's kind of reprioritized what I want to do. So, not only thank you for all your service. Thank you for what you've done for the district, but also my family and me too. Thank you.
So, because these are recorded and other people who are on vacation will log in, let me just take a moment to say, I know I say this often, but I truly, truly mean it. It's an honor and a privilege to have served the Higley students for the past 8 years. And I am humbled. I can't imagine not spending another day here. So I am excited to retire, but it is a bittersweet. And I am rarely speechless, but just let me say thank you, thank you, thank you for believing in me and giving me the opportunity, because it didn't start like that, folks. For those of you who think that it was an easy road with the board, let me tell you, It did not start that way. It was not a 5-0 vote. We had lots to do. We had a lot of work. We had to roll up our sleeves and get done. But we did it because we believed in this community and we believed in our children. And I say our children. We've approached this always from the aspect that the children of Higley are ours, and it's our duty as a board and as a superintendent and as the community, as principals and teachers, to serve our children well. And I am very proud, and I forgot some of those first, so thank you for that reminder that we have come a long ways, and you'll still keep going and moving forward. So get behind this school district. Parents, take that message back out. We do listen. We heard the emails. We heard the hardships. And we come back and we replan and we find a new way to make it better. And tonight's example with the buses is just that we do care and we listened. So thank you for all of those emails. I'm retiring, but I'm not going away from education. I'm figuring out how to retool, but I am now a trainer and a motivational speaker, which is going to be a lot of fun, Greg, a motivational speaker. So I already have an October engagement to talk about leading from the core, from within, and I will look forward to helping other educators continue their vision. So thank you again for the faith that you gave me. It's not been an easy road, but it's been a worthwhile road, because nothing in life comes that easy. But if we work hard at it, it's worth achieving. So thank you again for the faith. Appreciate it.
Thanks again. Are there any other board comments regarding any? Thanks. 7.0, we have consent agenda items. I will move that we approve consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.8.
Second.
Are there any questions or items of discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Nine point oh, action information items. 9.1, adopt fiscal year 2016 proposed annual expenditure budget. The board did have a work study on this prior to our meeting right now. Dr. Thomason, would you like to go through the...
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, cabinet, community. Shannon Deuce, our Director of Finance, will go through the PowerPoint that we viewed earlier to answer any board questions or any comments that you guys may have on the proposed budget for the 15-16 school year.
Bear with me, I've never done the clicker thing, so. Good evening. So we'll start off real quick with the tax rates. As you can see, the primary went up a little bit, however the secondary went down. So for an overall total going down slightly by 0.0654. Moving on to, I'm sorry.
We're going to say we don't set the primary tax rate.
Correct. That's correct.
Just wanted to inform the public we don't set that. The secondary tax rate does include things that the district has initiatives on, such as bonds or overrides.
That's correct. Yes. For our overall maintenance and operations budget, from FY15 to FY16, we did have a decrease in the budget for support services, which is non-instructional, of a little over $1 million. This includes administrators, media specialists, gifted specialists, lunch monitors, and other staff reductions. And moving on to our special education, we did have an overall decrease of 1.6% for a total reduction of $146,000. You can see that the primary decrease was in the gifted education program.
President Widener.
Mr. Little?
It's okay if you don't have the answer now, but I would be curious, as part of that gifted education reduction, which grades lost the contained program?
Mr. Little, I'll have to work with Dr. Nance and get back with
Okay.
you on that. We're still adjusting the gifted education program, and the program will be rolled out next month for the 16-17 school year,
Okay.
or 15-16 school year. Sorry.
Moving on to the classroom site fund, or the Prop 301. Revenue is broken down 20%, 40%, and 40%. As you can see, into base salary, performance pay, and then other. It's calculated by the weighted student count times $327. The Arizona Department of Education sends a statement for us to reconcile to those amounts. You can see we had a 51% increase in the base salary, 25% in performance pay, and 30% in other. The main reason for this was the $1.2 million carry forward that we had from 15 and additional allocation in FY16. You can see that the increases that we proposed last year into 16 is increasing the $1,000 biannual payments to $1,250, and also adding additional teachers in FY16 can be paid from the base salary and the other criteria. For the performance pay, will increase from $2,350 for the incentive to $2,500. How we calculate the Prop 301. From the 15 budget, we took the budget minus the actual expenses to equal the unexpended balance. So we have 4.5 was what was budgeted, and approximately $3.3 million was what we spent for the total unexpended balance of 1.2. We added the allocation provided by the state for a total budget for FY16 of just a little over $6 million. Any questions so far, anyway? For our special projects, this includes federal programs. The allocation is determined by federal programs, typically through a pass-through agency, which in most cases is the Department of Education. We won't receive those allocations until September or October. We did have a carry forward in our instructional improvement programs, which is also known as Indian Gaming. In 2015, we had $425,000. Some of those expenses include the literacy coaching and some payroll. And then in 2016, we have $700,000 budgeted, with $300,000 set aside for classroom size reduction.
And is the other amount just used for the literacy coaches?
Yes.
Okay.
One fund to bring up is our student success. In FY15, FY15 was our final year for that fund, and that was used for the retention stipend for non-classroom staff. How we calculate the general budget, we're provided the revenue control limit, or the RCL, by the state. which was a little over $54 million this year for FY16. We did set aside 2.1 for our middle school payment in unrestricted capital. We did have $1.8 million left for the override, and we anticipate carrying over a little over $900,000 from FY15 for a total M&O budget of $54,726,932. Also included in the state budget is the unrestricted capital. Last year we had $6.9 million budgeted, and we spent 4.1 for a total carryover of $2.8 million. We did transfer on the previous slide. I mentioned the $2.1 million from M&O. We also had the district additional assistance monies from the state of a little over $800,000 for a total unrestricted capital budget of $5.7 million. For the 2016 Truth in Taxation, the amount to be levied for 2016 for adjacent ways is $3 million. The current assessed value was provided by the school summary report from the Office of Maricopa County Assessors. Last year, the voters for Higley Unified approved and the tax rates were 99.5657. In 2016, the amount proposed will cause the Higley School District's property taxes to decrease by 7.8878 for a total of 91.6779.
And that's the secondary rate, correct? Or was that total?
That was the total.
Okay.
So kind of what happens now is we're asking the governing board to accept our budget as presented. We'll then upload the 2016 proposed budget, the worksheets, and the hearing notifications to the Department of Arizona, or the Arizona Department of Education. And we'll also provide a link to the ADE website for that information. We'll also publish the Truth in Taxation notice of public hearing in the newspaper that will be held on July 15th. By July 15th, we must hold a public meeting, and also we'll be presenting the budget for adoption. And then by July 18th, we must mail a copy of the Truth in Taxation publication to the Oversight Commission. Any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So July 15th meeting, we have a separate meeting if members of the community would like to speak or wish to address the budget. And we do that every year of the adoption of the new fiscal year budget. Are there any questions or comments? So, oh. That's what I was just going to I was just going to ask and clarify. So we're adopting, are we voting on that tonight, or we need to have the public hearing first and then approve to adopt it?
You're actually accepting the proposed budget.
Okay.
And then we'll have the public hearing prior to the adoption on July 15th. So we'll have the public hearing and the vote for adoption on the same night.
Okay. So I move that we adopt the FY 2016 proposed annual expenditure budget.
Second.
Move to, well, it's proposed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those unopposed? Or
Nay.
opposed? I said opposed.
Nay.
How'd you like that?
Try not to.
I don't know why I'm thinking backwards tonight. Thank you. 9.2.
President Whitener,
Mr. Hoffman.
I will make a motion that we adopt the tax anticipation notes resolution.
Second. Any questions or comments? Dr. Thomason, if you'd like any explanation for the community members? Was there a representative here from
Yes, we do actually have an individual, Mr. Moreno, from Piper Jaffray, to answer any questions you may have.
I guess I'd just like for the community and those in the audience exactly what TANs are and why we use them and why we do this every year. Just simplified version.
Good evening. My name is Rene Moreno from Piper Jaffray, and essentially tax anticipation notes is it's essentially a bond. It's a note because it's short term. It's only 1 year, and it's a mechanism by which the district can borrow cheaper than by actually borrowing from the treasurer's office. Okay, so these notes will actually get placed in the treasurer's office at a really low interest rate. And the benefit to that, as opposed to drawing on the line of credit from the treasurer's office, which is a higher rate. Okay, so overall, there's a benefit of about $25,000, at least compared to last year. Any questions?
Just for clarity purposes, this is to get us through kind of the timing of when money comes in and when expenditures are due at the beginning of a new fiscal year.
Because payments from the state are so irregular.
Right.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 9.3, we have a first read amendment to policy ECB, building and grounds maintenance. So any questions or comments? It is a first read.
No. Miss Good, is she still here? You're behind the flowers. Okay. So this is just to match the new statutory requirement for the language, correct?
It is. The statutory language was amended, and we wanted to incorporate it so there wouldn't be confusion among staff as to how it was to get reported. So it's just a technical amendment, really.
Thank you.
You opened a motion to waive? All right, President Whitener.
Mr. Hoffman.
Make a motion that we waive second read and move to approve the amendment to policy ECB, building and grounds maintenance.
Second. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 4.0 is a first read amendment of policy EEAA, walkers and riders. This does readdress the busing situation that had arisen during budget cuts. Dr. Thomason, any input or clarification of what exactly this would?
Yes, Madam President. At this time, I'm going to welcome Dr. Fowler to the mic to talk about some of the changes in the busing policy for the high schools and anticipated payment for those costs.
President Whitener, members of the board, Dr. Thomason and Cabinet. Just to clarify, there was some concern about moving to the 2-mile radius, and after having looked into that and consulting Linda Good and looking at some of the implications, we did feel it was in the best interest of the district and those students as well to move back to the 1.5 radius that we've had with high schools. And so that's the proposal. Then the question came, well, what about the $81,000 that was going to save? And one of the hats that I wear in the district is working with and supervising the foreign exchange students. And all this would be a one-time event, because over the course of the last 3 years, we've been able to accumulate a fund of about $95,000 that, and just to give a quick rundown, each of our high schools has 3 tuition-free spots that we provide for foreign exchange students, and beyond those first 3 spots, the district assesses a fee of $4,757 per student to cover the cost of all the expenses that are associated with the high school experience. And so over the last number of years, we've been able to accumulate some funds. And so I want to let the board know that this wouldn't be an amount that would be readily available every year, but with the accumulation of the past 3 years, there is sufficient funds to meet that difference, and would keep the budget on track. And so that was what we're proposing in terms of being able to move back to the 1.5 radius for high school students.
So what about the year after? I mean, what if you don't have that many? I guess.
Yeah. President Whitener, members of the board, I believe starting in early September, we need to have some budget discussions and take a look at the needs throughout the whole district, and make some hard choices and some tough decisions on where the district needs to go for the future.
Okay. Thank you.
President Whitener.
Mr. Hoffman.
To Dr. Fowler, Dr. Thomason, Dr. Nance probably played some role in that. To anybody who participated in that discussion, I just want to express my appreciation that this, as well as a few others, was the reason why I voted no on the cuts, because I just felt like it had too great of an impact. And so this is exactly how government's supposed to work. When we realize, hey, we screwed up, we fix it. And so I commend you guys on a job well done, and I'm very excited to see this back as a proposal to the board.
I would say thank you, Mr. Hoffman.
President Whitener.
Mrs. Reese.
This is listed as a first read. I'd move that we waive the first read, or waive the second read, I'm sorry, and approve policy EEAA for walkers and riders.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Dr. Thomason, just clarification on that particular piece is that information came to us, obviously, like Mr. Hoffman said, after that decision was made, not just from a 2-mile standpoint in the kids, but the safety and security there. So.
Absolutely, that was one of the main concerns that we took a look at when establishing bus routes, and safety and security is a major concern for the district and our community and for our kids. And so we looked back at that, took a look at the needs of the district, the needs of the families, the needs of the community, and recommended that we change the decision we had made previously.
Dr. Thomason, I know there's costs associated with the communication piece as we mailed letters out, taken away, and now we have to undo that. In response to, or in addition to that, can we have some other communication pieces, especially, I mean, not only now, but as it becomes closer to school, that our high school administration is sending out multiple forms of communication about that?
Absolutely. We've already contacted Josh Crosby from Transportation, and the communication that will go out reinstating the bus routes will also include bus routing information, so we don't have to do a double mailing. That'll just be a single mailing at that time.
Okay. And then is it possible for something to be posted immediately on the website?
Absolutely. I will work with our departments to make sure that gets posted immediately.
Thank you.
And I know usually at the days that the students get their schedules from the high school, usually someone's there from transportation, but if we can make sure that they're there so they can address it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One last also, Michelle, if you could also get this on the social media for the district, that way it can get shared out to groups and pages and stuff.
9.5 is first read and amendments to policy JICK, student violence, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and regulation JICKR. Ms. Good, I guess I just would appreciate some clarification. Is the amendment, is this coming through federal FERPA requirements?
Yes, it is. Always when the principal speaks with the victim of bullying or alleged bullying and, tells them what the investigation determined, it's very common that the victim and parents want to know what happened to the other kid. But that isn't possible under FERPA. We can't tell that information. And we're putting it in here just to emphasize it and to give some support to the administrators that this is our policy, and it depends upon, arises because of FERPA. So it's more of a practical thing.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, President Whitener, I have
Mr.
one.
Hoffman.
So, Linda, I didn't see it in the staff conduct one, the amendment, but in this, I noticed that it says failure by an employee to report a suspected case of bullying may result in disciplinary action up to suspension without pay or dismissal pursuant to board policies GCQF and GQD. Is that in the new employee code of conduct or employee conduct policy?
In the, let's see, it's 9.7. You've got a first read of a...
the combined policy.
Right. The employee conduct policy. And that duty to report, we've put it into the part where it is for the students, but we also put it in there so that whoever looks at that policy can see that the duty to report is there for the employees. Then we have also put that duty for reporting into the GBEB, which is the employee conduct policy.
Okay, so can we take another look, since this is just a first read, at that, because that sentence doesn't reference GBEB. It only references the other two policies that contain that.
I can certainly do that.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. I was going to suggest I was not ready for final approval.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Okay, thank you. 9.6 is first read and repeal of policy GBEA, staff ethics.
If I may, I would like to, for the benefit of the public, make a statement about this proposed repeal. I'm not suggesting that we remove a requirement for our employees to act ethically, but when the policy for employee conduct was amended in 2007, I believe it was, all of the ethical provisions were put in there, and so we really just have a duplication, and so this is just removing the duplicate.
President Whitener.
Mr. Hoffman.
Ms. Good, can you and I spend some time together? Because I just want to get a better feel for the repeal of the one and then the amendments to the other sometime in between this first read and the approval. Okay, thanks.
Are there any questions or discussion for this policy GBEA this time? 9.7 is a first read of amendment of policy GBEB, staff conduct. What's that? Okay, so I may have just missed that. Sorry, I'm one off on my on my tech device compared to what I'm on. Okay, we're on 9.7, correct?
Right.
Okay, any questions on GBEB?
President Weiner.
Mr. Little.
Just reading this here, this is on bullying again. Is it an amendment to the first read amendment? Am I reading this right? Staff conduct. The amendment to the policy adds section concerning reporting of bullying to accompanying reports of bullying to both students and employees. And first read for policy JICK covered that already.
Are we just putting it in two different sections? Okay.
Okay.
One for staff.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
One speaks to students, one speaks to staff.
Thank you.
Thank you. (9.8). 9.8 is termination of district-sponsored charter schools and conversion back to district schools for fiscal year 2015-2016. Arizona Revised Statutes 15-183 was amended to prohibit district governing boards from sponsoring or operating charter schools which began in operation after June 30th, 2013. This is requesting the termination of district-sponsored charter school status for Sossaman Middle School and Cooley Middle School, and also be converted back to their original status of a district school for 2015-2016 school year. I move that the governing board approve the termination of the district-sponsored charter school status for Sossaman and Cooley Middle School and be converted back to their original status of the district school year for 2015-2016.
Second. President Weiner.
Mr. Hoffman.
Dr. Thomason, is there any financial penalty on this?
With the loss of the charter school funding, there's a huge impact.
I'm not talking about the charter school, the charter additional assistance. I'm talking about there was in statute a penalty if you reverted back, and I'm asking, is that in play here?
No, there was no penalty on that. The legislation took away the penalty clause for school districts that must transfer back.
So for the public to be aware, though, the conversion back is a loss of?
Correct. The charter school funding for the public schools was a loss.
Which is what dollar amount?
Approximately $3.2 million?
Yes.
Approximately $3.2 million.
Thank you.
President Weiner.
Mr. Little.
Dr. Thomason or Ms. Good could probably field this. So what are the implications of not approving this?
I don't believe the statute gives us an option. I believe that the state requires that public school entities, and Linda, please help me out here. I believe that's a requirement from the state to revert public schools back, or charter schools, public-owned charter schools back to public schools.
I think you're right. I mean, they're not going to be charter schools. The legislature has said that. And if I dare say, I think even if you didn't move to do that, it would still be that way.
The penalty is you would not be funded for the 1,000 students that sit in each campus. You would lose 2,000 students worth of funding. So you would get double jeopardy. You lose your 3.2 for charter, and then you lose your regular money for the district students. The other issue that is converting back, it's a paperwork issue and an ADE, and so it would take about 30 days or so for her to do the work and get that reversed. But as of July 1, if you're not declared a district school, there will be no funding.
Thank you, Dr. Birdwell.
Hey, you still work here.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. (9.9) Consideration and possible adoption of a resolution ordering all matters necessary for a 15% maintenance and operation budget override election to be held on November 3rd, 2015. The maintenance and operation override is in its final year, fiscal year 2015-16. A renewal was voted down in 2013. 15% override to be in place beginning fiscal year 2016-2017. It will need to be approved by the voters. I move that the governing board adopt a resolution considering all matters necessary for the maintenance and operation budget override election to be held on November 13, 2015. Can I make an amendment and add the dollar amount?
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, is anyone?
As discussed in the work study.
Okay, sorry. This includes the resolution for the for submitting the arguments from the board with the amended words that we did in work study. And does anyone have that dollar amount right in front of them?
President White, members of the board, the dollar amount for the 15% override is $8,121,679.
Thank you. So I move that the governing board adopt a resolution ordering all matters, including the ballot language that we discussed in pamphlet language in the work study, necessary for 15% maintenance operation budget override election to be held on November 3rd, 2015, with a dollar amount of $8.121679.
Second.
Any discussion?
President Whitener?
Mrs. Reese?
In our work study and in conversations with Dr. Thomason, I do have concerns with a 15% override. I have concerns the last two times we weren't able to pass a 10. I think with the 15 versus the 10, it does concern me. I met with Dr. Thomason. We did go over some specific numbers. I also understand that the 10% won't cover what we need, but I am concerned with a 15 over a 10. So I just wanted to let you know that. We had that discussion, but I do know that a 10% was around the 5.4 million, and when we went through where it needs to go to, we don't make it. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
I would just put out there that this 15% is much needed in this community. As I spoke earlier, we need to take care of our children in this community and move forward to maintain the excellent programs that we have.
Thank you. I do hope board members over the last couple of weeks since our last meeting had an opportunity to go over our finance and budget lists and were able to go over specific numbers of what exactly a 10% would be able to provide for the district needs and what the difference of a 15% would do. And actually going through that, it was somewhat very eye-opening, considering that there are one-time monies that were only used this year of about $2 million that cannot be used again next year. It can only be used one time. It's not there. That's $2 million in the loss of the additional $1.8 million, and then the piece of the middle school lease. Neither here nor there can we go back and redefine the road that was taken, but I do feel strongly that our community recognizes the value of the middle schools and that obligation and value that we have to use some of those funds to support our middle school students. I also find the value in the ballot language that we worked on as board members in including teacher compensation programs, including our specials, reducing class size. And I will just for public, if I forget any, special education, gifted program, kindergarten, and was there anything else that I had missed that we discussed with our ballot language? I do feel that after reflection the last couple of weeks, some of the things that we're able to provide with the override money, and if you just look at the pure piece of the opportunities that our middle school students have and the dollar savings that they are getting by coming into our high schools with 3 credits, and they are actually able to save money by entering into dual enrollment and get ahead in that aspect, and the opportunities that we're actually able to move kids along further, saving them money in college tuition. That was a project that I'd worked on previously in a different setting, and the one way that we can help parents with further education is provide them as many opportunities in the K-12 setting. And I feel that the 15% override is able to, in the long run, be of a better value in providing more opportunities for our students to be prepared and succeed post K-12. And if I would rather invest $300 and allow my students and my children to move ahead, that would save me thousands of dollars, thousands, in a college tuition class. So I was able to spend a lot of time going over some specific numbers and exactly what would a 10 mean and what would a 15 mean, regardless of philosophies of certain programs, but as a board member overlooking as a district whole, all those specific programs represent all the kids in our district. And why would I want to take from one student in one program over another? So I appreciate Ms. Reese's comments. And thank you, Mr. Ratovich. That is my comment to add to the discussion tonight.
Dr. Whitner, I think we have to understand, too, that this is for our children in this community. And our children, I don't know if anybody understands this, our children have to compete on a global basis, whether we bring business programs, things like those into this district, but we need to do these things to keep our children competitive on a global basis here. So we need these programs, and I fully believe the importance of this 15% override in this community, and I fully believe that this community understands this and will support this.
Thank you.
If I may add.
Mr. Little.
You know, the need is great. So we should ask for what we need. We need 15%. And unfortunately, the state only wants to provide funding for very basic education, not enrichment. And if you look at child development, talent development, it's more than basic education. And so the state is asking communities to further fund their school districts. That's really what they're doing. And I think it's important that we continue, as Mr. Watovich said, it's important for our kids. You know, they really need it. This is the first time I've seen in this district where we've had enough of really great kids leave because other districts got overrides to attend gifted programs or other programs that other districts are able to fully fund. And the really great kids help make us the #1 school district. And we're losing teachers because we didn't get an override, and they're able to be attracted to other districts. And so the need is great. We need to keep our great teachers. We need to keep our great families and kids. It provides, even at 15%, we're still not getting at the enrichment and talent development that I'm thinking of. So I really think that the community will do the district a great service by adopting a 15% override resolution.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. 9.10 is a presentation of 2015-2016 Student Code of Conduct. Is that correct?
President Whitener, members of the board, we have the Student Code of Conduct for an informational item this week. We will bring it back for board approval at another time, but we do have Dr. Fowler here that can answer any questions in regards to the Student Code of Conduct as it's presented tonight.
Sorry.
Dr.
Ms.
Thompson,
Reese.
I just have a general question. Some schools last year allowed it to be signed online. Some had to sign on paper. Can we address that?
Yes, I believe that the on the acknowledgement receipt form that the students will return, that it includes in their receipt of access to for the student, that it notes that that's available online as well. So, you know, in favor of saving the trees, they're not printing out a hard copy for absolutely every student, but that's included in the sign-off portion, that that parents acknowledge that they have been provided access to those documents, and those are located, you know, through the district site and at each school as well.
So we can do the acknowledgement
Yes.
online, no matter what school they're at this year.
I believe so. I'll confirm that with Dr. Monroe. But
I get 3 of them. I get 3 of them.
Okay.
So if I can do them online, it would be much nicer.
Dr. Fowler, what is our time frame? This is coming back to next board meeting for approval? Is that what you said, Dr. Thompson?
We'll be working with board members to make any changes that are requested or that are acknowledged, and then we'll bring it back to July 15th board meeting for approval by the board.
Okay. Thank you. Just a quick clarification before I forget. The JICK, I just wanted to make sure that that's communicated out to admin and principals. I made a note and I forgot to mention that. The student violence and harassment, that
One's approved.
Madam President, I will make sure that item.
Maybe that's why I didn't say it, because I don't want to forget it. Once it's approved, yes, we'll communicate it out. That's like, I had it right here, and okay, we'll bring that back. 9.11, approved food service contract renewal for fiscal year 2016.
President Widener.
Mr. Hoffman.
I'll make a motion that we approve the food service contract renewal for FY 2016.
Support.
President Widener.
Mr. Hoffman.
Dr. Thomason, did anything change on the minimum guarantee?
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, the guarantee last year was approximately $500,000. The guarantee for next year would be $400,000. The food service company last year did take a loss in the food service contract that was provided to the district, but they met their guarantee and provided us with the funds that was stated in the contract. Now next year, the $400,000 guarantee is still a bit higher than the projected amount, but we felt that it was important to keep the guarantee at that level.
Dr. Thompson, what's the urgency? Does this have to be approved before July 1? Or does this have to be approved before school starts, when service begins? What's the...
I believe we can approve it on the July 15th board meeting, but there is an urgency to get it to the State of Arizona Department of Education before the start of the school year.
Okay, so further discussion, and then I'm going to move to table it so we can have further discussion. Yeah.
Are we going to take a vote?
President Whitener.
Yes, Mr. Ratovich.
Please.
Hang on. But Mr. Little.
I was just going to ask Mr. Hoffman a question. If there was something you're seeing that would benefit from delaying the vote, or
Well, yeah. So the minimum guarantee, right? So the way food service contracts works is you get a minimum guarantee from the vendor, and so we're losing $100,000 on our minimum guarantee, and so that's $100,000 that we're losing that can be reinvested into the food service program. And so I think because there is no sense of immediacy on having it be approved tonight, we owe it to ourselves, even for the purpose of due diligence, to have further one-on-one discussions with the administration and figure out if there's anything to do. So as such, I would like to amend my motion to table it until the July 15th meeting.
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah, go for it.
Dr. Thomason, or if we have representatives here, is there, I'm not sure if it's in contractual language, but is there an opportunity to have a day of a non-compete clause for our schools that they can fundraise through breakfast foods or snacks or things like that?
At this time, it's in the contract that we do have a non-compete clause during certain time frames and time hours, but we could go back to the food service management company and ask them to take a look at that with the knowledge that we still must follow the federal government guidelines for food service.
I will apologize on behalf of myself of not getting that question to you prior to tonight's meeting, and as well as it was a very involved meeting, board packet tonight. But that is a question I did want to answer and go over prior to.
I will work with the food service company to make sure we get an answer to that for the July 15th meeting.
Okay, so I will second Mr. Hoffman's table to July 15th.
So there can be discussion on the amendment if needed.
Sorry.
He seconded
The first one, not Jake's thing. I did not.
Well, but I actually made an amended motion, so it would be open to anyone to second that.
I'll second it.
It doesn't need to be you. It can be anyone on the board. Yeah.
Okay. So the amendment on the floor is to table it to July 15th meeting.
That is correct.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay, 10.0, you see we have one future agenda item. I would like to put, obviously back when we finish our some of our, that last piece of our board goals. Are there any others? And I'm going to just call it tax information, that we can get some information from the county assessor regarding the what exactly the rates are, the LPVs versus the full cash values, and maybe how those are different as a an average home value for the zip codes in our area for our district.
President Whitener.
Mr. Hoffman.
Dr. Thompson, I would like, if we could get sometime in the next couple of months, it's not urgent, sometime in the next couple of months, a report or a presentation on ancillary revenue streams that the district has. So cell towers, community education, preschools, kind of all of those, where we stand, what we're bringing in, just so that we can kind of understand those buckets.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you.